Lots D Punch Out TV. How are you all doing on this Tuesday evening? Hope you're all well out there. I want to talk quickly about one of the fights I'm very, very interested in. That's Daniel Dubois versus Filip Hrgovic. Dubois is 20 and 20, wins 2 losses. Stopped both times by Joe Joyce and Alexander Usyk with 19 KOs. He's only aged 26, which I think will play part for this kid later on down the line. He's orthodox, 6'5" and a reach of 78 inches. He's fighting Filip Hrgovic, who's 17 and 0 with 14 KOs, age 31, from Croatia, orthodox, and he's an inch taller than Dubois. Right, I've been going back and two over this fight. I think this fight's a 50-50 fight. Really is a 50-50 fight. It could come down to who wants it the most. Hrgovic is a boxer puncher. I've not seen a lot of Hrgovic. I've seen the Mark Dunois fight, the Zhilei Zhang fight, which I think he lost, but he won on points. And I've seen a little bit of that Dempsey McGee fight. I've only seen snippets of Hrgovic. Daniel Dubois, I've seen, I won't say all of his fights, but I've seen a lot of his fights. Richard Lartley, Nathan Gorman, Joe Joyce, Trevor Bryan when he won the WBA regular, Alexander Usyk fight, big fat Dusty Miller fight when he duffed up Miller. For me, I don't know, man. This is an hard fight to pick, this, because Hrgovic is a clever fighter, man. He's got power. Like I say, he's stopped 14 out of 17, but he's a boxer puncher. He's been waiting for this shot at the IBF for a long time. Since he beat Zhang, he's been #1 mandatory, apparently. I was just reading. For me, I think Dubois fought the better opponents. But Dubois seems to me, if you'd have asked me before the Dusty Miller fight, I'd have said Hrgovic all day. But for me, since Dubois seems to have rediscovered himself, even though he lost to Alexander Usyk in that fight, I thought he boxed a very good fight. I honestly do. And I feel now that the experience of him losing, I know it sounds stupid, but you can get your mojo back off that. And I feel that in the Gerald Miller fight, there was slight signs early on where I thought that he was going to quit, because he seemed to be struggling, because Miller is obviously a big pressure fighter. Doesn't leave you alone, Miller, constantly all over you like a cheap suit. But the lad dug in deep, he bit down on his gum shield, and he got stuck in, and he managed to stop Miller in the last round. I think it was a 10-round fight. But this, for me, is another one of them fights where he's going to have to dig deep, because there's going to be times in this fight where he's going to have to bite down on his gum shield, because Hrgovic is no joke. But I honestly believe that he can do it. I honestly do. Don't get me wrong, I do think it's a hard fight for both fighters, because, like I say, I think Dubois turned himself around, especially since that win over Miller. He'll be oozing confidence. He's the younger of the two, but with all due respect, Hrgovic is a lot better fighter than Miller. I wouldn't say he's a lot better, but he is a better fighter than him. You know, he's more technically gifted, stuff like that. He's quite a clever fighter. So, I don't know who I'm going to go for. Well, I do, actually. I'm sort of like saying it. Something's telling me Hrgovic, something's telling me Dubois, but I'm going to pick Dubois. I think, for a very, very late stoppage, or on point. No, I'm going to go for Dubois on points. I think that's what I'm going to go for. But don't rule out that Hrgovic could win this quite easily. I wouldn't say quite easily, but Hrgovic could win it. He's a very clever fighter. He's got a great jab. Like I say, he's got good footwork. He's got good boxing IQ. He's a powerful hitter. So, like I say, for me, this fight comes down to who wants it the most. I'm just thinking maybe the youth might play into Dubois' hands and the experience of being in with top level opposition, especially like Alexander Usyk. And like I stress again, in that fight, even though he did quit or he gave up, whatever you want to call it, I did think he boxed very well in that fight. He had some good spells in it. He's got a good jab himself, big right hand, good uppercuts. It's just, this is going to be a barn burner of a fight, I think. This could be the fight of the night. So I was just reading as well that because I heard that it was they was going to strip Alexander Usyk and it would be for the IBF because obviously they've not had a mandatory since Anthony Joshua and Pulev. But I was just reading here. It was saying, where was it now? I was just reading it. Where Alexander Usyk has applied for an exemption to avoid being stripped of the IBF belt, given he's been trying to consolidate the heavyweight titles for years. And then it says one can understand Usyk's position for the amount of time that it took to get Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk fight over the line. So it looks like they were going to strip him, or they probably still are going to strip him of the belt. But Usyk's put an appeal in, and I was just reading here where it says the IBF are still to make up their mind of what's going to happen. They've not come out with anything just lately, and that's from today on Boxing News. This article, written by a guy called Tom Gregg. So it doesn't look like this fight's for the IBF. Anything could change. The vacant belt, sorry, if they do strip Usyk. So they may strip him. Because originally I did believe that he was getting stripped. This would be an eliminator, and then obviously the winner would fight Anthony Joshua on down the line. I think that very well still may happen, but I don't know. We'll see what happens when they come out with further news. But this is a great week of boxing. So Daniel Dubois versus Filip Hrgovic, a very tough fight. I really do think for both men. But I'm going to pick Dubois to get this one just over the line. Just over the line, and I mean that as well. I'll be rooting for him. I think Daniel might just get it over the line via points. But like I say, do not rule out Hrgovic. So let me know what you think, who you've got to win. Peace out, and I'll catch you on the next one.